Imagine booking a quiet getaway in a historic lighthouse, only to find out you're not alone. The storm rages outside, shadows flicker in the lantern room, and then you see them. Three ghostly figures standing at the cliff's edge, watching you. Are they trying to warn you? Or something far worse? This is exactly what happened to journalist David O'Driscoll when he stayed at Surrey Isle Lighthouse, a place with a dark and chilling past. But what he discovered there was more than just a ghost story. It was a mystery buried for over a century. And now he may be the next to disappear. My name is David O'Driscoll, and journalism has been my passion for as long as I can remember. Ever since I started my own school newspaper at the age of 12, I've been fascinated by the world and driven to share its most intriguing stories. But these days, it seems like real journalism is fading away. Many of my colleagues care only about clicks and sensational headlines, twisting facts to make a quick buck. I've always believed journalism should uncover truth, shed light on human stories, and make a real impact, not just chase shock value. Throughout my career, I've had my fair share of proud moments. I've helped reunite families, exposed corruption, and told stories that mattered. But the sad truth is, these kinds of stories don't sell like they used to. In today's world, it's all about controversy and scandal. As the saying goes, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Unfortunately, that's the direction the industry has taken, and it's left little room for someone like me. A few days ago, my editor pulled me aside to deliver some bad news. The paper wasn't making enough money, and layoffs were coming. He didn't say it outright, but I knew I was near the bottom of the list. My work didn't bring in the kind of traffic that kept the lights on. The timing couldn't have been worse. I had just bought a house with my wife, and we were planning to start a family. Losing my job now would be devastating. I hadn't told my wife yet. She's a nurse, and her job is already stressful enough. As I woke up that morning, her side of the bed was empty. Another night shift. We barely saw each other these days, just a few hours in the evening to eat dinner and watch a show before I went to bed, and she left for work. It was tough, but she loved her job as much as I loved mine. As I went through my usual morning routine, coffee, shower, car, I was preoccupied with thoughts of my uncertain future. I needed a great story, something real and gripping, something that could change everything, but I refused to compromise my morals to get it. Then, something caught my attention on the radio. The host was wrapping up the news with a lighter segment, the kind of quirky stories that usually don't matter much, but this one was different. If you're looking for a unique vacation spot this summer, how about a stay in a historic lighthouse? The Surrey Isle Lighthouse, abandoned for decades, has been recently renovated and is now open for rentals. But its past is what makes it truly fascinating. In the early 1900s, 3 lighthouse keepers mysteriously disappeared during a storm. To this day, no one knows what happened to them. The words "unexplained disappearance" sent a jolt through me. This had all the makings of a perfect story: mystery, intrigue, and a unique setting. I decided then and there I had to stay at that lighthouse. At the office, I barely noticed my surroundings. My mind was consumed by thoughts of Surrey Isle. I did a quick search online, but information was scarce. The lighthouse was located on a remote island, about 100 miles from my town. Originally built in 1903, it had a small railway system to transport supplies. Then I found the key detail: the 1908 disappearance. According to records, 3 men, James Russell, Thomas Blake, and William Callahan, were stationed at the lighthouse. One night, during a violent storm, a passing ship noted that the beacon wasn't lit. When a rescue team arrived days later, they found eerie signs: an untouched meal on the table, unmade beds, toppled chairs, and a stopped clock on the wall. But the keepers were gone. Despite investigations, no bodies were ever found. The case was ruled as accidental deaths. But with no evidence, the mystery remained. The lighthouse operated for decades before finally closing in 1989. Last year, a developer purchased and restored it. My heart pounded as I scrolled through photos of the renovated interior. It was stunning, a mix of modern comfort and preserved history. This was it. This was my story. I had no idea what I was stepping into, but I knew one thing for certain. Surway Isle Lighthouse was calling me, and I had to answer. I clicked on the booking link, and to my surprise, a vacancy was available for the upcoming weekend. Without hesitation, I entered my details and secured a 3-night stay. Excitement overshadowed my previous doubts. This was my chance to uncover a story that could not only save my job, but reignite my passion for journalism. The days leading up to my trip passed in a blur. I packed my essentials: a voice recorder, camera, and notepad. I told my wife only that it was a work trip that could determine my future at the paper. She wished me luck and reminded me to stay safe. On Friday morning, I loaded my car and set off towards the coast. The countryside rolled by in lush greens and blues, a stark contrast to my usual urban surroundings. As I neared the small coastal town where the ferry awaited, I felt like I had stepped back in time. The ferry was small, weathered, and captained by an old man named Joe. When I mentioned my destination, he gave me an amused, yet wary look. "Not many folks go out there these days," he muttered. "You sure you know what you're getting into?" I nodded, but a flicker of doubt gnawed at me. The journey to Surway Isle took an hour. As the lighthouse came into view, towering over the cliffside, a shiver of anticipation ran through me. Joe helped unload my bags before giving me a final nod. "I'll be back Monday," he said, before disappearing into the horizon. The lighthouse was beautifully restored, yet an air of history clung to it. Inside, vintage maritime decor adorned the walls, and a mix of antique and modern furnishings made it feel cozy, yet eerie. As night fell, the lighthouse transformed. The wind howled, the structure groaned, and an unsettling presence seemed to fill the air. I dismissed it as my imagination. But when I awoke in the middle of the night, the lantern room was inexplicably glowing. My pulse quickened. Gathering my flashlight, I ascended the spiral staircase. The light flickered, then vanished. A whisper echoed around me, growing louder. There was no one there. By morning, I was determined to explore. I discovered a secluded cemetery, the graves of 3 lighthouse keepers marking a tragic history. That night, as a storm raged outside, I saw them. 3 shadowy figures standing at the cliff's edge, watching me. My breath caught in my throat. I knew, without a doubt, I was not alone. The lighthouse keepers who vanished all those years ago stood before me, their spectral forms illuminated by the storm's flickering light. Yet, despite their eerie presence, I felt no fear, only an overwhelming sadness emanating from them. They were watching me, their eyes filled with something deeper than words could express. I dared not step outside into the raging tempest, so I remained in the tower, transfixed by their silent vigil. "Why are they here? What do they want from me?" I whispered, though my voice was swallowed by the howling wind. Then, in unison, they slowly raised their arms, pointing toward the cliffside. Their movements were deliberate, almost as if they were guiding me. After a brief moment, they lowered their arms and began to march away, disappearing beyond the cliff's edge. My heart pounded with the urge to follow, but my rational mind won the battle. I would surely be risking my life in such a storm. I barely slept that night, huddled in the lighthouse, waiting for the storm to pass and the dawn to break. When the first light crept over the horizon, the storm had finally subsided. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, I decided to follow the path the ghosts had taken. As I descended the lighthouse staircase, everything appeared as it had before. No scattered furniture, no remnants of the ghostly dinner. Had it all been a dream? I needed to find out. Donning a raincoat, I stepped outside into the damp morning air. The island was eerily silent, save for the rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks. My feet sank into the softened earth as I cautiously made my way down the treacherous path. Then I saw it. The entrance to the cove, once blocked by boulders, now lay open, revealing a dark passageway. Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside, the scent of sea salt and damp earth filling my nostrils. The passage was narrow and suffocating, but I pressed on, my flashlight slicing through the darkness. Finally, I stumbled into a small chamber, filled with aged crates, rusted tools, and, most notably, a collection of weathered logbooks. I carefully opened one, its brittle pages revealing the daily records of the lighthouse keepers. As I flipped through, my breath hitched. There were entries from the night of their disappearance, December 12th, 1908. The storm is worse than anything we've seen. The lantern keeps going out. Russell is missing. The ink was smeared, the handwriting frantic. The final entry chilled me to the bone. Blake is gone. I'm alone. The voices are calling. They're not human. If anyone finds this, know we did not abandon our post. There is something here, something ancient. Pray it does not find you. My hands trembled as I closed the book. The mystery was darker than I had ever imagined. The keepers hadn't simply vanished. Something had taken them. I knew I had to leave before it found me too. Packing my things, I fled to the dock, managing to flag down a passing boat. My mind raced as I returned to the mainland, determined to tell the world what I had uncovered. But even as my article was published, the nagging feeling remained. I hadn't yet uncovered the island's true secret. And deep down, I knew I would return to finish what I had started. What do you think happened to the 3 lighthouse keepers? Were they victims of the storm, or something much more sinister? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you love eerie mysteries like this one, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Creepy Hive, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chilling story.